Today's a Maureen Johnson book review day. Yay! I was looking through my Goodreads and I read a lot of Maureen Johnson books this year, namely these ones and also Scarlet Fever. I read The Last Little Blue Envelope in June when it came out and I went to Maureen Johnson's book tour for it, which was so much fun. I want to be Maureen Johnson when I grow up, guys. Seriously. The Last Little Blue Envelope is the sequel to 13 Little Blue Envelopes, so if you haven't read this one, obviously you should read this one first. Basically, it's about this girl named Ginny and she goes on this huge adventure around Europe, following the instructions of 13 letters that her dead aunt wrote for her. And besides being super jealous of Ginny and wanting to travel around Europe myself, it's a really good book. The characters are really endearing. I wasn't expecting the second one to be as good as the first one just because sequels usually aren't, but I was pleasantly surprised. I think I might even like it better. There's more of a focus on the characters and their relationships to each other rather than the places that they're at. And yeah, it's really exciting to hear about the places that they're traveling to, but I think it's more interesting to read about the characters. There are some old characters in the sequel and some new ones, so it brings up new interesting dynamics while keeping the same characters that you love. And I would talk more about it, but I don't want to spoil anything, so you should read it for yourself. I read Scarlet Fever right after I read The Last Little Blue Envelope because I just wanted to keep reading Maureen Johnson. And Scarlet Fever is the sequel to Sweet Scarlet, so again, if you haven't read the first one, you should do that. I will always love the Sweet Scarlet books because of the setting that they're in. The main character, Scarlett, lives in an old hotel that their family runs, and her older brother is an actor, so there's a lot of theater stuff involved, and I was a theater kid all throughout high school, so I love theater and I love reading about it, so that just makes it more happy for me. And then it takes place in New York, which is an exciting place, even if it's not as cool as Chicago. I really enjoy the family dynamic around Scarlett and her parents and her siblings. It's really interesting, and there are a lot of siblings, but none of them get cast off to the wayside. All of them are paid attention to, and they're all really important. Plus, how cool would it be to live in a hotel? I then read Key to the Golden Firebird back in August when I was coming to college. I wanted to read this one because I wanted just another light summer read before I started into the school year again. Although I read this more recently, I remember less about it. I didn't like it as much as Scarlet or The Envelopes. It's not the Maureen Johnson book I would recommend, but I still really liked it. And I think I might have liked the romance chemistry in this one the most out of the three. It's a fine book, it was a good summer read, and I guess it's worth reading, but it's not something I would particularly recommend. Maureen Johnson's most recent book is called The Name of the Star. Here's the pretty cover. It's a total departure from the other books that she's written because it introduces a paranormally science fiction-y theme to the book, which even though I knew was coming, I was still surprised by about halfway through the book, because it feels just like the rest of the Maureen Johnson books. When you're reading it, it doesn't feel like it's something drastically different, but then it is, and that makes it really interesting. This one takes place in London, and someone is recreating the Jack the Ripper murders. The main character, Rory, somehow becomes thrown into the mess. I really recommend this book. Out of all of Maureen Johnson's books, I think this is the best one. It's also a little bit scary. I get scared really easily, especially when I'm reading books, because my mind imagines, like, the creepiest things, and I'm even more scared by slightly subtly creepy things than just by like outright gory things or anything like that. And this book is so subtly creepy. I was reading it at night and it was raining and I was sitting in my bed. I was absolutely terrified. My roommate thought it was pretty pathetic, but it's a really good book.